Alright, hopefully this is the last time I will ever try to record this video. Using a new computer and failing miserably at the different nuances to record. So anyway, um, I will not skip over anything, but I will try to not forget what I have repeated several times in my recordings. And I hope you feel the love from your professor as I do this for you yet again. But we are in the final week, and you guys are very close to being done. So, but this is a very important video because I want to explain what is still left and how I'm looking at grades and the tests and that sort of thing. So at this point, you've noticed that the tests are a little tough and you guys aren't doing well, despite the fact that they're open book. Some of the questions are not good. I get that, and several of you have commented on that and given me some feedback, and I'm looking at probably giving you a good number of points extra that you don't currently have on your scores based on some of those poor questions. So I'll let you know on that. I'm not going to give extra credit, and here's why. The other requirements for the course, meaning all the other assignments that you have to turn in, I'm giving you pretty much full credit if you are showing any significant effort in doing exactly what we're asking you to do in this course. Meaning that I'm not necessarily looking for right or wrong answers, I'm looking for you to attempt at doing them. I am going to give feedback. You notice that most of you got full credit on your first lesson plan that you turned in. Don't take that to mean that that was a perfect lesson plan and that I just checked off and that you did things perfectly. What I'm doing there is I'm saying, okay, you did a good job of attempting to do everything for your final lesson that you're going to give, but I'm not going to give critique until your final lesson plan, and even that I'm probably going to give you pretty close to full credit as long as you attempted the right things. Let me give you an example. So on the affective, cognitive, behavioral aspect of the lesson aims, let's say for instance that under the cognitive lesson name, you gave me more of a behavioral lesson name. I'm going to point that out in the final lesson plan. I wouldn't have pointed it out in the first lesson plan because I found that the best thing for me to do is to allow you to make some errors, to use your best judgment. I've given you a ton of resources in this class, added videos, given you a sample lesson plan, and tons of helps in informing it and clarifying what you're supposed to do. So at this point, I'm wanting you to kind of take all that and just try to make a lesson plan and make your own errors and be responsible for your own mistakes, and then to evaluate yourself on that. And then what I'm hoping is going to be the most beneficial is that my feedback, in other words, what I see from your final lesson plan that you turned in, when the holes that I see in it that I give critique, I want to see how that affected what you saw and when you evaluated yourself. Meaning that, okay, I'm pointing out here that your behavioral lesson was a little off. How did that maybe resonate with how you evaluated it went overall? Were you noticing that your class didn't know really what to do with the lesson, if that makes sense? And the other thing is that some of you didn't even look at the sample lesson plan that I gave based on what your first lesson plan looked like. And again, I hope that when you see that you got a very good grade on the lesson plan, I'm checking off that you did it, giving you a good score. But for instance, in bold red letters, I have the keys of each piece in that sample lesson plan. So under the lesson names, I've got the student will learning verb, the learning concept by the teaching method, right? And then under the book, I have, this is the hook, look, book, took. Under the hook, I have got, give me enough here that you're able to write a good transition sentence into the book. Some of you, if you used a video, you said, I'm going to quote this video, and then you gave me a transition sentence. I have no context for that video. I'm going to dock you on your final lesson plan if you do that again. Notice in this example, I gave some context of Schindler's List, the movie, and then the transition sentence makes sense based on that. That's what I'm looking for. Then in the book, I want to see the outline of what you want them to get from the passage. So if you have class interaction, include the questions you will ask. Remember to avoid closed questions. So some of you didn't do anything. Some of you did amazing. So I'm wanting you to at least show me the outline of what you're going to teach on. Some of you just said, like, I'm going to give historical background and summarize Jonah, and we're going to talk about it with these questions. That's going to get docked a little bit. Then in the the look section here, I want the class to interact with the scripture and with one another. So give me a little bit of how you're going to do that. You don't have to give me every last thing, but at least give me something. Some of you just gave a few scriptures or a couple questions, but no context to why you're asking them and what you want them to do with it. Then finally, the took here, I want you to allow the individual class members to apply what they have learned personally. So again, not tons of info, but at least give me context. Some of you gave me one sentence, and sometimes actually the sentence, if you do a really good job with it, it's not about, it is quality over quantity, but at the same time, if you didn't show me anything, it's hard for me to give you full credit there. At the same time, if you missed it a bit, but I can see that you really put some thought and um, you planned this out, and this is, I can see kind of what you were hoping to get out of it, but you missed it a little bit. I'm going to give you feedback on that, and that's an example of how you're going to get pretty much full credit, but you're still going to get the benefit of doing it wrong the way that you thought to do it best. I'm going to give you the feedback on how maybe you can do it differently next time, but it's not going to affect your score because I'm seeing that you didn't do a very good job, that you did a good effort. I'm sorry, excuse me. So that's kind of what I'm looking for, and like I said, no extra credit, but if you want to redo your final lesson plan, I will still let you do that anytime this week before the end of class, and if you need extra time, email me, and I may give you a few extra days to do that. But if you're watching this video and you're like, oh, shoot, I didn't do that final lesson plan very well, then this is your chance to resubmit that, and I'll let you do that. All right. So again, the final lesson plan is what I'm going to be giving feedback on. And the final test I'll post in a couple of days, just some details of what to do with the final test. So and try not to take it for the next couple of days, as I'll probably post something by Friday on that final test. And you have any questions, and if you have any issues with any of the questions in the previous test, some of you have asked me, but I'm happy to respond to others and to take those into consideration. So look over your previous tests and let me know if anything you felt was unfair or unjust, and we'll go from there. All right. Thank you, everyone, and Godspeed in the rest of the class.